Alright, man, peace. You know, brothers, all throughout the early 90s, during the publicity campaign to build up the cult of personality for Tupac Shakur, one of the main strategies was to make sure that he was always at the epicenter of some type of controversy, either through his words or through his deeds. And then after that, once they place him strategically inside of certain controversies, whether it was against the police or against certain females or against other rappers, then they could claim that he was some type of martyr or messiah figure who was always under attack because he was a truth teller, as opposed to what he was, that being a provocateur and an actor. That's all he was. Tupac was an actor who got locked inside of the bishop character, and he was never able to come out. And of course, there were other components to the building of the mystique of Tupac Shakur. That's for a whole other video. I mean, but a lot of brothers are starting to figure out and find out who and what Tupac actually was. The point of the video is this: Russell Westbrook has to be very careful, because he's caught in this vortex of going back and forth with the fans, with the media, with other players, and he has not succeeded enough as an NBA player to constantly be placing himself inside of this negativity vortex and then claiming victimhood all the time. Don't get it twisted. Are there devils out there in these NBA audiences who are trying to provoke you? Absolutely. But you have to understand something. You're God amongst men when you're out there on that basketball floor. That's why the light is on the basketball floor and not on the audience. What these NBA and NFL audiences for the most part are comprised of is jealous white trash who are upset that they cannot be you. When you decide to go back and forth with trash as opposed to having security take out the trash, you're giving them what they want. What they want is that interaction with you, to feel like they become a part of your life, and therefore they can live vicariously through your opponent. They want to be out there on the basketball floor to go against you. They know that they don't have the physical gifts or the wherewithal to do so. So the only way that they can oppose you is verbally. When you decide to go back and forth with them, it's one thing to turn around and say, go F yourself or whatever. But to stand up and try to challenge that man and his wife, there's nothing good that's going to come from that. There's nothing good that's going to come from that. And don't get it twisted. There's a time to stop talking and to start doing what you need to do to defend yourself or to protect yourself or your manhood or what have you. But if you're Russell Westbrook, you have to utilize more wisdom than that. And he's starting to become someone who's always getting caught up with the fans and always trying to play the victim role. You have to understand something. When you decide that you're going to play the villain in sports, there's going to be some collateral damage that goes along with that. Kobe Bryant accepted that. Floyd Mayweather accepted that. Russell Westbrook is going to have to accept that as well. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Oh, we got a lot to unpack. Let's do it. You know where we're starting. We begin with Russell Westbrook, who got into a heated exchange with a fan during the Oklahoma City Thunder's win over the Utah Jazz last night. Now, the shouting match occurred while Westbrook was near the end of the Thunder's bench during the second quarter. It was caught on video and went viral after being posted on Twitter, of course. Take a look.
Now, a lot of brothers will say, well, bro, come on. The person in the audience was disrespecting him. I'm going to say this again, brothers. You're Russell Westbrook, superstar guard in the NBA. You made hundreds of millions of dollars, and you going back and forth with some fucking caveman in the audience. That dude is beneath you. That's a maggot. That's a piece of shit in the bottom of your damn shoe. Believe me, that man will give his wife to you to sleep with her for the night, just to say that his penis was inside of the same vagina as Russell Westbrook's penis. Russell has no idea that that person, that so-called fan in the audience who's cursing him out and trying to utilize all type of racial innuendo, is a bigger fan of Russell Westbrook than anybody in Oklahoma City. Because for him to invest all that energy and that time in trying to get Russell Westbrook's attention, that means what? That means that he has an infatuation with him. As I've stated in the past, a fanboy oftentimes has a borderline homosexual infatuation with the object of his desire or of his attention or what have you. Russell Westbrook, what he should have done was turn to the security and say, this person is out of order. Here's what he said. Escort him out. And please give me his seat number. And then you just contact the front office of the Utah Jazz and you have that person banned or whatever is within your power to do. And of course, there's going to be people filming that anyway. I'm sure that there were people in the audience who filmed him levying many of his quote-unquote racial slurs. But to go back and forth with that dude and his raggedy-ass wife, they're not even worth it, man. See, what the fans all across the league know is that they can get under Russell Westbrook's skin. They know that already. And as I've stated in the past, many of these fan bases and other teams know that even though he's hyper talented, mentally there's something missing with Russell. Well, bro, on everything you love, you should be focused on everything that you love and not a piece of shit up in the audience.
All right, so marinate on that for a moment. Now here's a look at Russell.
Nothing to marinate on. It's not that deep.
At Russell Westbrook's explanation of what happened with the fan.
How it started was a young man and his wife in the stands told me to get down on my knees like he used to. And for me, that's just completely disrespectful to me. I think it's racial. I think it's just inappropriate in a sense of...
Well, it's definitely racial, but listen to what he said. He said, get down on your knees. That's not just racial, but there's also a homosexual component. Once again, a lot of that fanboy shit is based in a homoerotic obsession that many of these quote-unquote fans have for certain players. And Russell has to see that. He has to understand that. You have to know what's beneath you. A lot of people, once you achieve or ascend to a certain level, you have to know what's beneath you and why they're there. People are at various levels for the most part, because they want to be there. After you achieve a certain level of awareness or mental maturity, you are where you are because that's where you want to be. Now, some people just don't have the outlets. They don't have the avenues to get to certain places. But the vast majority of people are where they are because that's where they want to be. You're Russell Westbrook. You came from whatever community or neighborhood that you came from. You worked hard to get to where you're at. Why are you going back and forth with that trash for? Straight out of a fucking cave. Give me a break.
There's no protection for the players. I think
You have protection. You just chose not to go that route. You could have gotten that fan's seat number. You could have had security usher him out. Get that person's seat number, him and his so-called wife, and report them to the Utah Jazz front office or the general manager or whoever will be in charge of making sure that certain fans are not allowed to come back. That's how you utilize your power. Making threats on camera, that's not going to work out well because now the fan could try to sue you. Unless someone has footage of him making a lot of the statements that you allege that he made, the person could sue you. And of course, I believe Russell's version, but at the end of the day, brothers, anybody can be confrontational. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, is to be confrontational. Because at the end of the day, Russell knows that he's going to whoop that guy's ass in a fight, at least presumably. Presumably, he'll beat that guy in a fight, but you never know. Russell might get his ass whooped. At the end of the day, you're worth so much money. Why would you even want to get your hands dirty?
I think there are a lot of great fans around the world that like to come to the game and enjoy the game. And there are people that come to the game and to say mean, disrespectful things about me, my family, for many years, man.
Because they're jealous of you and your family. That's why. They're jealous of you and your family. To whom much is given, much is required. I'm not saying that Russell should just sit there and tolerate disrespect. But there are other avenues that he could pursue to make sure that certain fans are not allowed to attempt to make any type of connection with him on that level ever again. He just has to use his intelligence. And Russell Westbrook, quiet as kept, is extremely intelligent. He just moves too emotionally sometimes.
I've done all the right things. I've never done anything to hurt or harm anybody.
That's okay. You don't have to do anything negative to be the recipient of negativity. People emit negativity because that's their way of trying to bring you down to their level. They know that they will never ascend to your level, so their only option to establish some type of connection is to bring you down to their level. And he succeeded.
I've never been in any trouble. Never fought a fan.
Well, that might be coming. You keep fucking around with these fans. You almost had to fight the dude over there in Denver, that big fat Mexican that came out onto the floor. Once again, the energy that you emit, you receive back. Why are these things just happening to Russell Westbrook? They're not happening to LeBron. Of course, LeBron has been the recipient of, some nasty speaking fans. You had that one lady who tried to curse LeBron out after one of those NBA Finals games. James Harden, he knocked the camera out of the fan's hand. But you don't see that stuff for the most part. You see it mostly with Russell Westbrook, because he's constantly trying to cultivate this image of himself as being someone who is always going to go back and forth with any and everyone. And when people see that, they know that they have a target. They know they have a target. And I understand where Russell's coming from. As a man, you don't want to take people's shit, because that leads to the belief that you can be stepped on or you can be walked over. I get it. But at the same time, you're of great value. You worked hard your whole life to get to a certain level. You basically have put yourself on a pedestal through the gifts that you've been given from the Most High, as well as your hard work. So why allow some clown to destroy all the things that you built just so that you could snuff him one time? I mean, come on, man. It ain't worth all that.
Been in the league 11 years. Clean slate. Disrespect will not be taken from me. I'm completely just sit back sometime and just take it like that. That's just one video, but throughout the whole game, since I've been here, especially here in Utah, every time I come here, there's a lot of disrespectful things I said, and for me, I'm just not gonna continue to take disrespect from my family.
When you watch old interviews from Muhammad Ali, he used to talk about certain things that fans would say to him, just walking into the ring, how he would overhear people saying, "Knock that nigger out. We should hang this nigger," things like that people would say to get under your skin, to try to stop you from being the person that you're supposed to be. Once Ali got into the ring, he was a god, meaning a power of boxing. Russell Westbrook is a god on that NBA basketball court. I'm not talking about from a spiritual perspective. I'm talking about from his ability to overpower everyone else on the basketball floor. He has to understand that. When you exude power, you attract people and you also repel them at the same time. It's a phenomenon known as awe. When something or someone is awesome, that means that you're mutually attracted to and repelled by that energy or that person at the same time. What does that do? That creates envy and jealousy.
There's got to be something done. There's got to be some consequences for those type of people that come to the game just to say and do whatever they want to say. And I don't think it's fair to the players, not just to me, but I don't think it's fair to the players. And if I had to do it over again, I would say the same exact thing.
Well, I respect that.
All right, Westbrook speaking from the heart there. His teammate Patrick Patterson had his back tweeting this: "Fans can say stuff about a man's family, wife, and kids. Tell a player, get down on your knees like you used to. As men, what do you expect us to do?"
Utilize the resources that you have. Speak to your coaches. Speak to the people in the upper management of your team. Utilize the voice that you have on social media. You guys have no problem utilizing your voice on social media when you're talking about a bunch of silly shit. Utilize it like you're doing right now to talk about the issues that you deal with in the midst of a game, the verbal disrespect that you feel like you have to tolerate, and demand that Adam Silver, a super liberal commissioner, hold these people accountable. But to get up and go back and forth and threaten that man, to me, I've never been someone who advocated making threats. To me, a threat is too much like a warning. If you're going to snuff somebody or do something to them, why would you want to warn them? So all that talking does is it creates an energy of premeditation. You understand what I'm saying? So why even get up and warn somebody of what you're going to do? Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. But to tell that man you're going to whoop his ass and whoop his wife's ass, like, that's just a warning. And that's something that man could use in a court of law potentially. Utilize proper channels and get that person banned from the stadium for life. Problem solved.
Shut up and dribble. No one is held accountable for their actions except for us. Fans are protected in every way possible, but not us.
No, you guys are protected. There's security in the arenas.
Now here's the fan, Shane Keisel's explanation of what went down.
Me and him were just, it was actually, we kind of having fun, to be honest.
It was fun. Like how my daddy told me back in the day. Niggers love, black folks, or colors, whatever you call them, whatever they're called today. They love it when you go back and forth like that. Tell them to get on their knees and pick that cotton like they used to. Yeah. You know, just like this sweatshirt I'm wearing. This guy Jordan. You know, I love wearing this sweatshirt. It makes me feel like a nigger. It makes me feel strong and tall and, you know, incredibly dominant. So I just want to go back and forth with Russ a little bit and ask him if he wanted to have sex with my wife while I filmed it.
She thought you were having fun?
Yeah, he was smiling at one point, and there was a lot of people, because it was when, you know, Joe had come by and poked Paul George in the eye, and then Joe goes over and apologizes immediately. Russ is just F-bombing and carrying on, acting a fool down here.
Which Russ does do, once again. Like Tupac Shakur, he put out a lot of negative energy and then tried to act like the victim when certain energies circle back towards him, which they always do. Once again, whatever energy you put out is what you get back. And no, I'm not saying that it's okay for Russell Westbrook to be the recipient of any type of racially charged language or anything like that. So before some simple ass dude come in the comments and say, oh, why you saying it? Look, dude, at the end of the day, you are Russell Westbrook. You have far more power, far more prestige than this clown right here. Get this fool removed so that he can never come back. Make sure that you express yourself via video, via social media, to get your message out that the players are not going to tolerate racial disrespect anymore. And if any fan attempts to do so, they're going to be removed from whatever stadium they're in. But to get on camera and get up and talk about on everything you love, you're going to fight this dude, you're going to whoop this dude ass, you're going to whoop his wife ass, all that is selling a bunch of wolf tickets. Because you know damn well you're not going to go up in them stands and do shit. So just knock it off.
And everybody's getting on him. And he had, I guess, heat. I thought it was ice. I just told him, I'm like, just sit down and ice your knees, bro. And he turned to me and he's like, that's heat. And I'm like, well, you're going to need it. And then it turned into...
Next thing I know, I'm, you know, putting on my white hood and, you know, I had to get out of here.
Not safe for the work.
All right, well, Shane.
I had to go call Jethro and see if we can arrange us a hanging.
Shane was just having a good old time. Someone was. The Jazz released a statement saying that players and fans have a shared responsibility to create a safe and respectful environment. All right, Stephen A., your reaction to all that?
First things first, I'm rolling with Russell Westbrook on this.
Well, what part of it, Stephen A.?
As a guy that's been covering the NBA for almost a quarter century, I've been to Utah on many occasions. The Jazz is essentially a small town, great fans for the most part. That's all they have. And sometimes
and that's all they ever gonna have.
They get incredibly rabid. Ask Dennis Rodman the kind of things they said to him back in the day, along Allen Iverson, along with various others.
Brothers, notice the players that he named. Notice the players that he named. Stephen A. Smith never said ask Kobe Bryant or ask Michael Jordan or ask Magic Johnson what those fans said to them. Because those players exuded an energy of being locked in. I'm not going to go back and forth with trash. You're beneath me. And you could never in your life be acknowledged by me because all you are is a turd. You're only worthy to be flushed. That's it. So he never named any real superstar players. All he named are other mentally fractured star players like Dennis Rodman and Allen Iverson. Players who the fans could sense would respond to nonsense like that.
I've seen this kind of stuff. And so